Cavs fans, welcome in after Cleveland's 118-113 victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. Anthony Moeglin and Spencer "Spin" Davies hanging out with you tonight to recap Cleveland's big win over the Bucks. First game back inside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, and a nice way to welcome the boys back home, and a nice way, Spin, to welcome you back home. Your first time back in Cleveland. You were in New York for both the Knicks and Brooklyn games. Before we talk any hoops, how was the trip, dude? How was the trip out to New York?
I mean, honestly, it's just nice to not have to ride a train into town. That was really the biggest thing for me. The biggest adjustment was the transportation part of it. But no, it was a fun trip, man. I enjoyed myself. Had a nice day off on Thursday. Was able to explore the city a little bit. Got to see really both NYC and Brooklyn. So had a good time. Glad to be back home. But hey, I'm back on the road tomorrow again when they go to Detroit. So it's just been nonstop. And what's really cool about this, honestly, Megs, is the way that you can relate to the players and being in a schedule like this to see what it's really like. Now, I know that the players aren't probably going out, getting dinner and having a good time out on the town, but at the same time, you kind of get a little bit of a glimpse of what it's like to be on the road and have to play an 82-game season.
It's wild, man. No, it's actually, I mean, jokes aside, it's actually a very good point, right? Like it's hard to get into any type of rhythm. These guys are always on the road, always living out of suitcases. And I know you enjoyed your time out in New York, but everyone knows this. We say this a lot on this here channel. Spin, hardest working guy in show business here, covering our Cleveland Cavaliers. And Spin, we had a fun one tonight for the Cavs. Obviously get that 118-113 victory. It felt like in that third quarter that they were way in control of that game. And then Giannis was Giannis, and he went into MVP mode and just kind of drug the Bucks back into it to make it pretty close there going into that fourth quarter.
Yeah, Giannis, man. I mean, I thought Evan did a good job. I thought Jarrett did a good job, even DeAndre Hunter. But it's just one of those things where he's one of the best in the world. And as Kenny Atkinson said, he put it, it's championship Giannis. It's the Giannis that he saw in Eurobasket and in FIBA. This guy is just so relentless, so strong, and such a developed player now. Like, he was making so many good plays when the Cavs did send two at him. He's got the patience to find his cutters, to find his shooters. And that's why Milwaukee's going to have a solid season this year. And I think a lot of people overlook them because they think that the surrounding pieces aren't that good. But when you have the role players they do, like Gary Trent Jr. and AJ Green, adding Miles Turner to this mix, I think they're going to be a good squad. But credit to the Cavs. They were able to fight through it. Really had some trouble with that zone. Had Donovan Mitchell in the middle of that thing instead of a big. It was interesting to see that kind of wrinkle, but they don't really see zones too much. So it threw them off. And in the case, like, they were compounding mistakes. They got some turnovers. They threw the ball away. And Evan thinks it's as simple as that. I think that it's just really about them persevering and getting through it. And once they did and saw the shots going down, started getting a few stops together, then they were fine.
Yeah, you start stringing that stuff together. They overcame Giannis's in 33 minutes. Giannis was 14 of 20. He was 1 of 1 from behind the arc.
All in the paint, brother. Yeah. All in the paint. Trust me. No matter what they threw at him, this guy just lowers his shoulder and gives you a couple pump fakes. And if you're not, you can send two bodies at him while he's midair, and he's going to finish that thing. It's just, it is what it is.
And at some point, you can do all you want, but he's just a freak, right? He's in that Victor Wembanyama mold where Evan's kind of like on that fringe. Evan's on that low fringe of that, but like Giannis and Victor are just those unicorns, those alien type bodies, and he gets down low. And he's so built out too that you just can't even get a body in front of him. 14 rebounds for Giannis, 9 assists for his 40-point near triple-double there. But Spin, talk about that. There was a sequence there. It was mid-third quarter, end of the second quarter, mid-third quarter, where like both teams were sitting in a 2-3 zone. It felt like I was watching a high school game where like it was back and forth. They're having to move it. They were flowing, like you said. Donnie was in the middle of that zone for the Cavs. It was an interesting little switch up for both teams as they were trying to just shut down the paint for both offenses.
Yeah, just trying to give them their medicine back, beat us from beyond the arc. And to the Bucks' credit, they did knock down some big threes. I thought that AJ Green, he's one of my favorite players, role players in the league. Very similar, and this isn't just because they're white boys that can shoot, but very similar to Sam Merrill. AJ's a little bit taller, a little bit more built, but he is a solid player. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of season He has. But I mean, even to the very end, the 30-footer that he made to make everybody in this building sweat a little bit when to make it a 2-point game. Like he's a solid player. I think that Cavs got a little bit fortunate that Gary Trent Jr. didn't make his threes tonight.
Mhm.
But I feel like it was just kind of a thing where they were trying to say, beat us at your game, you beat us at our game. So kind of mixed it up a little bit, but. I love the lineups that we saw tonight. There's a couple that I want to highlight. Both of them include, honestly, Lonzo Ball and Dean Wade. I think they both work really well off of each other. They're the first subs off the bench this year. This is the way Kenny's rolling right now. He's putting in Lonzo and Dean in together as their first two for Donovan and Jarrett, and then letting them kind of go to work and having the ball handler in there. I'm a big fan of that group right now. And, you can even add Larry Nance Jr. to that mix when they're in together. I just feel like it's a very high IQ sound lineup. And I think they really work well together. I thought Dean tonight, you look at the box score, you don't see great shooting there. Doesn't make a three. He only goes 1 of 5. But when he's making decisions as fast as he does, and the swing passes that start the going around the horn on the perimeter, that's the type of stuff that keeps him on the floor. The defense, we know what that is. Himself, he can wall up. He walled up Giannis a couple times tonight, but he can get you boards, and he's just making quick choices, which is half the battle when you're a role player in the league.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And we're getting a nice little crowd in here. So make sure if you're listening in, jump into the comments section. If you like what Spin and I have to say, let us know. If you disagree with it, also let us know. If we're just giving some thoughts on our Cavs 2-1 start to the season, drop it in that comment section. But Spin, talking about Dean Wade, right? It's for him, in my opinion, his from a point scoring perspective, it's always been a little up and down. But what I do think is critical, even beyond what you just said, you have to, as a defense, you have to respect his ability to shoot the 3-pointer, right? And he is that stretch 4 where he can get down, he can play defense, he'll rebound. But when you're defending him, you can't just throw a nobody on him. You have to throw a guy on him that can get to the perimeter and give a high hand, even if he's hitting or if he's like he was tonight, 0 for 4, 1 from 5 from the field. You still have to respect that jumper, and even just that adds a wrinkle and an element to this offense that, makes them just even that much more tough to cover.
Well, if you want to bring the footwork doctor into it, I'm just going to look at how he's pump faking and moving. Yeah. I think it's a little bit faster this year. It's quick up and then move right away instead of quick up and then maybe not dragging the toe, but it's just a little bit quicker to get to whichever side he's going to. And like I said, when you start the swing, that's making the defenders go, okay, I got to react. And then all of a sudden, it reverses back to the top of the perimeter. And then Sam Merrill's wide open. And, Sam's buried 15 threes in the first 3 games so far. Mm-hmm. So that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt a lot of teams, especially when you got to worry about Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley being the primary guys when Merrill is doing his job and when Wade is doing his job. And, you get DeAndre Hunter back tonight, and he's making his mid-rangers looking great off the dribble, despite that knee injury that kept him out the first couple of games. Then you're going to, see some of this, come together, and it's going to look less clunky. But it's the zone that really kind of got him out of rhythm. But before that, they were looking real sharp.
They were looking sharp, and also too, it's the 3rd game of the season. They're going to get used to seeing the zones and making sure they're swinging that thing around. And it's also positive too that Cavs fans have to remember you're 2-1. You have a tough loss against the Knicks, then you come back with nice wins against Brooklyn, and then again tonight against the Bucks. But you're still down Darius Garland and Max Strus, so you still have reinforcements coming, which is awesome. But on that reinforcements front, a new face for a lot of Cavs fans, Lonzo Ball. I got to see him in person. You've been obviously following the team around, so you know much better than I do. But seeing him in person one time in the preseason and just watching the start to this season so far, he's got the ability to be so good for the Cavs coming off the bench, because just even I'm just envisioning him as a switch up to Darius Garland. Like Garland gets the first session, and then Lonzo comes in and brings pretty much the same ball movement skills, but it was in a 6'7" body. What is it, 6'7", 6'6", 6'7" and you're like, oh my gosh! And he's not afraid. He had a nice offensive rebound put back tonight. He can stretch the floor, shoot it a little bit. He's so versatile, and I think he can be such a perfect fit in this offense for a group that, you're looking to replace Ty Jerome from last year. He's like the perfect guy to do that, and maybe even, I don't want to be disrespectful, but maybe even a little bit of an upgrade in that category for the Cavs.
I don't know if it's an upgrade or it's just stylistically different. That's how I would put it. It's just there's a little bit more balance to him. He's not going to be someone that puts up 20 shots or 15 shots in a game. He's a ball mover. He's somebody that, no pun intended, he's somebody that just keeps that thing going. And it's the skip passes. It's looking up the floor in transition. I think him recognizing mismatches when the bigs have smaller guys on them inside is really something that Lonzo does a good job at. But tonight, I just think that it looked a little bit more natural for him than it had the first, couple games. There's just a feel for it. Maybe it's because the big baller brand was in the house, got a pair of shoes from Pops over there, met LeVar Ball tonight. So that was one you can check off the bucket list. But in all seriousness, I think that he just gets it going. I feel like the rebounding portion of this is huge too. Like you said, 6'6", he's able to crash the glass. That play you mentioned was huge, because a lot of the crowd was groaning after Milwaukee made their run, and there was a missed three, and no one boxed out Lonzo. So Lonzo went up in there, got the easy putback, and defensively, I think he's bringing a lot to the table. And then look at late into the game, you have an inbound play where you have to get it in, and I think Milwaukee was down by 4, so it was still a big possession, and Lonzo almost got a 5-second violation, but he was smart enough to not get that 5-second violation, toss that thing up to whoever caught it. I think it was Evan or DeAndre, I can't remember, but he was smart enough to make that play is what I'm trying to get at. And that's the part of this that I think Kenny likes a lot, is the knowledge and anticipation and understanding the game. And it's that simple. So I'm looking forward to that. You can throw him in the closing lineups if you want to. You mentioned it, like when DG gets back in, I'm sure that he'll be running with DG. Kenny's not afraid to put him out there with Craig. Him and Craig work off each other really well. I think he works with Donovan pretty okay. They haven't played too much together, but it's nice to have that luxury of a ball handler. And I know they had it with Ty Jerome, but Ty had a very unique pace about him. Lonzo's full gear, and it's good to see, because we know he's had some health issues in the past, but he really pushes that thing down the floor, whether it's via the pass or just dribbling down and getting guys set up. So, and I think it didn't happen really tonight, but something I noticed in Brooklyn, it'll be good for Evan to have Lonzo, because Lonzo will not allow him to be phased out of the game. You know how Evan sometimes get into that disappear mode? Like, Lonzo will force feed him for those. So he's a good addition, man. I like Lonzo. He's not going to play tomorrow night likely because of the back-to-back rule. So that's going to be something to, monitor as the season goes along. But it also gives guys like Craig Porter Jr. an opportunity, right? And how big was he tonight, man? 3 steals. The ball pressure was out of this world. Donovan even went out of his way to praise him at the very beginning of his interview. Like, we don't win this game tonight if it wasn't for Craig Porter Jr. making that play. And my favorite play of his was when he tried to hit the 3. He missed it, but it was off of a huge steal that he made on an inbound. So, got to give guys like that an opportunity. You're going to give guys like Tyrese Proctor an opportunity while Lonzo doesn't play in these back-to-backs. So you're getting guys the reps that they need, especially these young guys, Jalen Tyson included too, to be ready for when the postseason comes around. And I know that's a long time from now, but that's what the regular season's for.
There's no doubt. You hit on a ton of good points there. We're going to come back. I'm putting a pin in a lot of them. I'm putting a pin in that the LeVar. I'm putting a pin in the LeVar Ball one. We're coming back to that towards the end, Spin. But here we go. So looking at the starters, we've talked primarily so far about the Cavs bench, but I'm looking at the starting set here. And this box score, dude, looked like a January game last year, where all your core 4 guys, well, outside of Jared Allen, 4 of your 5 starters were in double figures. You had 5 total guys in double figures, but you had guys doing what they're supposed to do. DeAndre Hunter finishes with 16, 4 rebounds and 2 assists, but an efficient 16, 6 of 13 from the field. Jared Allen, near double-double, 8 points, 11 rebounds. Evan Moeglin was special tonight, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. And then Donnie had 24 and 1 of 8 from the 3-point line. So he was getting inside. All his points came from inside. And Sammy Merrill, dude, that dude's shooting the lights out. So it's dealer's choice for you, my friend. You pick whoever you want to start with, and then we'll we go from there.
Well, you know what? I think actually Evan wasn't quite as special just because of the box score saying it. I think Evan actually He still has to work on the handle a little bit. It's a little bit loose. I think that sometimes he's not strong with the ball, and that's okay. It is the third game of the season. He did a heck of a job on Giannis. I thought he was terrific on that, and maybe that has to do something with it. But I feel like Evan, and I think Evan would tell you this too, is just like, I want to work on, got to work on some stuff still and make sure that you're not getting ripped from behind, basically. Like if you got your back to the basket. And also Cavs teammates got to be able to tell you too. You got a defender on your tail. Make sure that he knows, but just a little bit more awareness on that stuff. But with Evan, I like what I see, that he's getting to his spots and getting that mid-range up. I love that when he's stretching the floor, there's no hesitation in the three, and it's continued from last season, the way that he's taking these threes. They look good. And the confidence that he has in that shot is very good. On to Donovan. Thought late in the game he got a little ISO for me. I know he was trying to draw the foul there in one of those plays. I think it was a 4-point swing or something in Milwaukee's favor after that. But Donovan's got to trust his teammates in those situations. He does it the first 3 quarters and even part of the fourth quarter, but he's got to get more trustworthy of some of his guys. And he always talks about how he loves that Sam Merrill's right there to rescue him. So make sure you're getting it to him. And I know Sam did take 2 big threes in the fourth, and he knocked down one of them, which was big time. It was a step up off of an Evan Mobley screen. But I just think Donovan's got to trust these guys a little bit more. I know he's trying to force the issue. He can sense when things aren't going the way that they should be. But keep that rock moving. I mean, and you got to credit Milwaukee too, because they do have some solid defenders on that team. I like Miles Turner a lot. I think that, again, AJ Green, really, really underrated player in this league. So might be a little bit of that. But those 2 with Evan and Don, they even admitted it wasn't the best shooting night that they've had. But it's a work in progress, and it's going to be. And I do not think that they're going to have this all figured out in the first, quarter half of this season, the way that it started last year, right? You started off 15 and you gave yourself unrealistic expectations regular season wise because of last year. Like that's not going to happen again. It's just simply not.
Yeah, that's it. And that's truly a positive. Like, honestly, they lose the other night, whatever night that was, Thursday night. And
next game on Wednesday. Yep.
The next game on Wednesday night, and you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, good. Guess what? Let's see some adversity early. Let's see what this group's made out of. They're not full strength. You're getting, Tyrese Proctor played whatever minutes he played in that night, but they were all significant. And it was his rookie. Like, that was his first opportunity to get on the court and do that. So they're mixing it up and, show that they're going to be able to compete at the highest of the Eastern Conference on night one, and they're going to get so much better going as the season goes along. But Spen, I want to talk about DeAndre Hunter for a minute, because didn't play in night one, and kind of is coming back into form and looked really, really good tonight. He just adds such a defensive force to this group. You talk about like Lonzo being 6'7" or 6'6" and like being, a big body that teams are going to have to deal with. Like, I envision a lineup that's Lonzo, DeAndre Hunter, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and Donovan Mitchell to score it. Like, yeah, sure. Good luck with that. Like, how do you handle that? I think the getting DeAndre Hunter back into the flow is a sight for sore eyes, and it looks like he's playing pretty good to start the season.
Yeah, no, I think DeAndre tonight, and I know it doesn't really show in the box score, I thought he was mixing it up, trying to get on the glass really well tonight. Yeah. And that's a positive, because that's an area that he's had struggles with throughout his career so far. And I feel like that's going to be a challenge. The whole team is being challenged to rebound right now, by the way. Mm-hmm. It just has not been up to par to Kenny Atkinson's standards so far this year. So it was nice to see them out-rebound Milwaukee today. But going back to DeAndre, part of that, getting on the glass, but at the same time, I feel like DeAndre getting the chance to bring the ball up and, attack the rim a little bit. I love the quick stop on a dime mid-ranger that he has. It's really pretty. And we've been over this time and time again on this show and in our podcast. It's just like, how do you block DeAndre's jumper? Because it's so high at its peak. It's really hard to do. So adding that to this and to this team is huge. I feel like with Dre and especially, and Kenny said this after the game, that he doesn't know if they win this game without DeAndre Hunter. So that's huge. It's huge for them to have him back, and we'll see if he plays tomorrow. I'm sure they're going to be cautious with him and whatnot, but it should be should be fun to watch him grow into this role at the 3 and in the starting lineup. And we'll see what happens when Max comes back and whatnot. But for now, get used to playing with Evan. Get used to playing with Jarrett, because that is where you're going to be needed. And it gives you some incredible size, and it's tough to stop and tough to get through defensively.
Yeah. These are champagne problems, because you talked about that. As the lights go out on Spin, what did I tell you guys? Hardest working guy in showbiz. Come on, they're turning the lights out on our guy. But Spin, I wanted to frame this the right way, and I think you brought it up perfectly, because the addition of Max Strus back into this lineup will shake some things up. But I think this is good, because DeAndre will see maybe an adjusted role, some adjusted minutes. Sam Merrill's going to see an adjusted role and adjusted minutes, but he is playing at a level right now where it's like going to force Kenny Atkinson's hand to be like, hey, dude, Sam Merrill needs to be on the floor, because he is such a positive the way he's playing right now. I'm not naive. He's not going to play this way for 82 straight games. That would be insane to ask of somebody. But when he's playing like this, man, he is such a weapon, especially when he's shooting it this hot.
It's so fun to watch when he's as confident as he is, man. And he even said it's, the uptick in minutes has certainly helped him. Mm-hmm. But it's the freedom that Kenny, which lets him play. And it's not just putting you in the box and saying, hey, you're a 3-point shooter and you're a defender. Nah, man, you can put it on the floor now. You can pocket pass to Jarrett. You can swing the ball. You can do much more than just be a 3-and-D guy. So I think Sam's taken that in stride. And he told us on media day that he was working on his intermediate game. So I'm looking for maybe some Sam floaters every once in a while, and just to see a little bit more expansion out of Sam. And defensively, man, this guy just competes. Yeah. And, he's not the biggest guy, he's not the strongest guy, but he is a dog. And I like seeing that out of Sam, man. And that's exactly what it was last year. Yeah. He actually had a down year shooting because he was giving so much effort on that end. I think coming into this season, he knew what was coming. He knew that he'd be playing in a rotation. He's not looking over his shoulder. So it's like, okay, if I miss a shot, so what? I'm still giving it all on my defensive end. I'm picking up full court, like guys like Craig and like Tyrese and all these other guys that they use, the so-called role players, to pick up full court and to get stops and then make your shots and make an impact on the offensive end. And Sam's done it in spades. Yeah. And Kenny even said, he's like, he's been our best player through 3 games. So it's incredible.
You're going to catch zero argument from anybody, because the thing that stands out with Sam is the confidence, right? This first thing you said, but it's now catch and shoot with a lot of confidence. And I think the last point you made was there's no looking over your shoulder, right? There was a couple, you could sense it last year, like, hey, he would hesitate on pulling the trigger because like, I just missed 2, right? Or I'm a little cold right now, or I had a bad possession or whatever. I'm not going to pull this because that's a potential mistake. I'm going to stay on the floor. No, he's letting that thing rip tonight. This year so far, you give him an ounce of daylight, he's going to let that thing fly. And that's so fun to see and so fun to watch him really grow into that, because he can be such a weapon. And he, like we said, he's going to force his hand, Coach Atkinson's hand. And a fun exercise I'd ask anybody watching tonight to go do, just look up Sam Merrill's college highlights, because it's sometimes it's lost on people, especially when you see a guy like Sam who was labeled as a 3-and-D guy. This guy in his bag when he was rolling, he's got between the legs, drive you to the bucket and dunk on your head type ability. And it's exciting to see. And I'm not making that up. Just go YouTube that. You'll find a couple of those examples. It's fun to see. And Spin, you talked about it. He may be getting back to a little bit of that, that at least early on in this year, Spin. But for the Cavs, this is a really nice win. One thing, these last 2 games, right? It's now twice now. You don't want this to become a habit. But 2 big leads that get shrunk all the way down. One was on the road. You can kind of understand that. You're in Brooklyn off of, week 1. This one, you're facing Giannis. So it's like, hey, these things aren't a concern yet, but this is a trend that you really want to nip in the butt, to be like, hey, we're going to get up on somebody and we're going to put the nail in the coffin and end the game.
You don't want to make a habit out of giving up leads. Yeah. And Donovan was irked against Brooklyn. Like, he was like, there's no way, there's no way that game should have come down to, what it did. Tonight, he was a little bit more like, So I think it's competition level. In this case, Giannis being just an absolute freak.
Mhm.
And two, I think also the zone is what really kind of threw him off a little bit. So they weren't as perturbed about this one as the last one, but I'm right with you. You can't have those. You got to be able to consistently do it. You got to be able to stretch out leads. It's a game of runs. We all know that, but don't let it get within, 2-3 possessions. If you're up double digits, if you're up by 15, by 20, you're just giving a team life doing that. So it's just all about, to me, it's the turnovers. And again, that has to do with the zone tonight, but just stop throwing it away. You also, and this goes back to just the theme of this week, is you're incorporating guys who haven't normally been playing. So you look at Lonzo, you look at Craig Porter Jr., and look at Jalen Tyson, who are all playing significant roles this year. You can even toss Tyrese Proctor into that hat. And it's tough. Larry Nance Jr. wasn't with this team last year. So not everyone's going to have the timing on the cuts. Not everyone's going to know where their teammates are going to be on the court. So that part will take some time. But when the turnovers come from guys like Donovan Mitchell and from Evan Mobley, that's when you don't want to see. The other ones you can kind of understand, but it's when your core guys are doing it is when you don't want that happening. So it's more or less about that, I think, than anything else.
Yeah, no doubt there. And it's, I think the run tonight was either 21-2 or 22-2 from Milwaukee to cut it from a 20-point advantage down to nothing. Even had it tied up at one point. So yeah, it's one of those things early on where you're like, okay, it's now two. What do they say? 2's a pattern, 3's a streak, or something like that. Like you just want to knock it down, whatever the saying is. Just nip that one in the butt and carry on. But you're never going to complain in a win here. But Spin, we got 3 straight games here that are a lot of fun. You go on a 3-game stretch against Detroit, Boston, and then Toronto. A little bit different vibe, I would say, from obviously that Boston group. But Detroit's on the up and up, man. They're a tough team led by Cade Cunningham, and you're going to get to see him on tomorrow night, out in Little Caesars Arena. I think I
you got that.
One,
you got it right.
That team is back to being at least in the top half of the league here, and exciting stuff going on in Detroit. And that matchup's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. No, not looking forward. I'm looking forward to it, man, and hopefully Detroit gets a little healthy, man. I want to see them at their strongest, but Cade Cunningham is really fun to watch. This team's fun to watch too, though. So I enjoyed the last time I was in Detroit. It ended on a Darius Garland game winner.
Oh yeah, it did.
And let's see if that magic continues tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be a lot of fun. Then the Cavs hit the road. They go to Beantown. They slap hands with the Browns, who are flying back today. They're heading out to take on the 0-3 Celtics.
Tell them to keep moving. Just tell them to keep moving.
Tell them to keep moving. The next town.
Let's not go there.
Celtics are struggling to start the season. That's no surprise. Obviously, you're down Jason Tatum, and you're going to be missing him for at least the whole season, maybe getting back for the playoffs with that torn Achilles. But and then I don't know that we've ever talked about this. Are you a fan of the NBA Cup?
The NBA Cup?
Yes. The midseason tournament?
Indifferent.
Yeah.
Indifferent. I think it's a little bit cooler, just like to see some of the designs of the courts and the uniforms. Yeah. Gives you a little bit of something to look out for in the middle of the season, but it's not like something I go out of my way to watch yet.
They may actually be setting up for the NBA Cup behind you, because I see them that new court coming in. I see them moving some stuff out. So
they're trying to get me out of here, man.
We're not going to get Spin into a fight with the workers, because he's losing that one 11 out of 10 times for sure. But the Cavs, huge win tonight, 118-113 over the Milwaukee Bucks. 2 teams that are going to be relevant all throughout the entire season here. But if you're new to the channel, thanks for being here. Make sure you're subscribed. Spin literally has everything you can get your hands on in terms of Cavs content. He's on site as much as he can be, and our pages are always full of stuff. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and make sure you're checking us out. It's a new site for all of you guys back home who are just tapping into us for the first time here. We are now with Roundtable. We were with SI last year. We are now with Roundtable Sports. So head over to our new link. It's going to hit the scroller right below us here. I have all of the other ones memorized. I need to read this one, roundtable.io/sports. facebook.com/NBA/Cavaliers. Go down there. Go follow Spin. Go follow me. Go follow the rest of the team. We're getting you full with all of your Cavs content. But we're getting out of here on this. For my partner, Spencer Spin Davies, who's on site, I'm Anthony Moeglin. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight as we recap the Cleveland Cavaliers 118-113 victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you again soon here on the Cleveland Cavaliers Roundtable.